Hello, welcome to Inside Politics. I'm Anastasiya Lavrina. This week's 17th Economic Cooperation Organization Summit in Khankendi, Azerbaijan's Karabakh region, represents more than just a regional gathering. It signals a shift in the geopolitical relevance of the South Caucasus. By hosting leaders from across Central and South Asia, the Middle East and beyond, the summit highlights how this region is being reimagined as a critical connector in global trade, energy and infrastructure. The location underscores a broader ambition to present the South Caucasus not as a zone of instability, but as a bridge between economic systems and strategic interests. As global supply chains recalibrate and east-west corridors gain new importance, platforms like Economic Cooperation Organization are evolving, serving not only as forums for cooperation, but as instruments of influence. So, what does this moment tell us about the new architecture of Eurasia? Where is the balance of influence heading and who gets to shape it? There are the questions we'll explore tonight on Inside Politics. Joining me now are Rear Admiral retired Faisal Shah from Islamabad, Pakistan, and political analyst Nikola Mikovic from Belgrade, Serbia. To our experts, we're welcome to Inside Politics. Thank you for joining us tonight. And Mr. Mikovic, let me start with you. The 17th Economic Cooperation Organization Summit already being called as critically important for the region and for the world. Therefore, my question is, what makes this summit stand out in terms of global relevance, especially with shifting geopolitics and energy dynamics in the world?
Well, this summit comes amid the ongoing tensions between Russia and Azerbaijan. So I believe it is very important for Azerbaijan because it allows Baku to strengthen political and economic ties with other actors, especially those 9 countries members of the ECO. Normally, summits like this allow participating countries, including the host country, to achieve at least some of their geopolitical goals. And I believe that was the case this time, because we see that leaders who attended the meeting, they held a series of bilateral meetings. So, for instance, Pakistani and Iranian leaders, they met, and also Turkish President Erdogan met with other leaders as well. Turkey definitely used this summit to expand its influence in the South Caucasus and also in Central Asia, because leaders of several Central Asian countries also attended the summit. There was an interesting moment. So the leader of the self-proclaimed Northern Cyprus, did not officially attend the meeting, but he was there, and there were flags of the Northern Cyprus there, although that was all not official, but still that was the instrument that Turkey used to basically push other nations to de facto recognize the Ankara-backed entity. So that was one of the geopolitical aspects that I wanted to emphasize. Summits like this, as I said, they serve as an instrument basically for middle powers and also for great powers to achieve their goals. And also countries like Azerbaijan, they also use the summit to achieve some of their goals. So for Baku, the summit was very important because it allows Azerbaijan to expand economic ties with other countries, especially given that Russia it's still one of Azerbaijan's major economic partners, but now Baku has the opportunity to expand ties with other nations as well, ahead of a potential escalation of tensions between Moscow and Baku.
Well, indeed, there are a lot of issues on the agenda: economic cooperation, transport issues. And you rightly mentioned the Prime Minister of Pakistan visited Azerbaijan and participated in the summit. He also held some bilateral and multilateral meetings. Therefore, my next question, Mr. Shah, what does the growing role of the ECO organization signal about shifting alliances and power balances in Eurasia, especially considering Pakistan's position within the organization?
Thank you very much for taking me in your program. It's a great honor for me. And hello, everybody. Greetings from Pakistan. Very relevant question. I think this conference has a great significance on two accounts. Primarily, first of all, that it is happening in Khankendi, which is the newly liberated area by Azerbaijan from Armenia, and that's a very strong assertion that Azerbaijan has sent across the world, that this area always belonged to Azerbaijan, and Azerbaijan is very focused on its development. So presence of all the heads of states in that area, that speaks volumes of Azerbaijan's resolve and its good ties with the regional countries, especially the countries of ECO. The other factor that signifies the holding of this conference here is that it is happening at a time when two important events have happened in the region. In May, India attacked Pakistan, and then Pakistan responded and emerged as a successful contender in that conflict. And then in June, Israel attacked Iran, and then Iran responded back and emerged as a successful contender in that conflict. So these two conflicts and these two episodes have signified the importance of cooperation, collaboration, and coordination among regional countries more than ever. And that collaboration and cooperation should not only be in diplomatic or military fronts, it is more important in economic fronts, and that's what ECO stands for. And that's how I think all the leaders participating in ECO summit have also vowed to enhance economic cooperation between the regional countries.
Indeed, very interesting. Mr. Mikovic, I would like to know your opinion about the stance of the European countries and the European Union itself, particularly with the summit highlighting the role of Azerbaijan's, the growing importance of the South Caucasus, the region, from the transport, energy and economic perspectives. How likely is that the European Union will recalibrate its approach to the region?
I don't think the EU has any other option but to try to increase its role in the region and its presence, economic and political. The South Caucasus was traditionally in Russia's geopolitical orbit, but as a result of Moscow's actions in Ukraine, Russia started dramatically losing its influence in the region, and now there's enough room for the EU to expand its presence there, and that's what Brussels is actively doing, both in Armenia and Azerbaijan. It needs Azerbaijan for energy mostly, because the EU was dependent on Russian energy for many years, and now it's trying to find alternative suppliers, and Azerbaijan is definitely one of them. So I think that Brussels will just continue developing closer energy ties with Azerbaijan, but it also needs Armenia for other reasons, not for energy, but for geopolitical goals, not only for the EU, but also for other actors involved in this game. But the point is that Brussels is interested not just in Azerbaijani energy, gas and oil, but also in Central Asia's natural resources and also electricity. So the plan is to begin importing the so-called green electricity that Central Asian countries such as Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, both of them participated in this event, are expected to begin producing in the near future, and then exporting it through the Caspian Sea and through Azerbaijan and then Georgia and Turkey and so on to Europe. So that's the so-called green energy corridor that the EU is seeking to build in Central Asia. And China is also involved in in this project because it is investing in green energy capacities in Central Asia. And Azerbaijan plays a significant role as a transit country, although it also has capacity to produce green energy and to export it to Europe. So that's according to the official reports. That was one of the agendas, one of the topics that leaders discussed. It was renewable energy.
Absolutely.
Although I think they also focus on.
Yes, indeed. We'll come back to this question because I have separately to discuss the importance of Central Asian countries for Europe, for South Caucasus. But before that, Mr. Shah, I would like to know your opinion about the involvement and the interest of the global powers in the region of the South Caucasus. Can we expect ECO to evolve into a stronger geopolitical actor capable of balancing major powers in the region, or it will remain the economic platform for probably more deep economic integration in between of the member states?
Absolutely, yes, because this region that we are talking about is a resourceful region. There are energy resources, there are minerals, and the geography of this region is so important. It connects whole world. You see, you connect Europe, you connect West Asia, you connect Afghanistan, China, then South Asia, and then through the sea you can connect to whole world. So immense potential lies here, and in all domains, not only in economic domain, but also in politics, in diplomacy. In every domain, immense potential lies here. Now, this is up to the regional countries, the members of ECO, to realize this potential and to actualize this potential into very tangible benefits, not only for themselves, but for the region and beyond region. And I agree with you that ECO countries can have this balance with the major powers or the extra regional powers that are interested in our region, and we can bring them all to the point of economic collaboration with this region. But before that, all the countries, ECO member countries, have to have good economic collaboration among themselves, and that requires a lot of infrastructure, a lot of development, a lot of work on our part that we must actually embark on right now.
Well, indeed, economic partnership can foster any other processes in between of the member states of this organization. So coming back to the integration processes in the region, Mr. Mikovic, you already started to answer my next question about the importance of Central Asian states for Europe. We do remember how the heads of the European states were coming to Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and discussing the potential for the future energy cooperation and transport integration processes. I would like to bring your attention more closely to the meetings held in the summit in between of Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan. Two countries explore new possibilities and opportunities for cooperation. Therefore, my question to you, how do you think this bilateral cooperation between the country in the South Caucasus and Central Asia can also become the focal point for a new processes in between of Europe and Central Asia?
I think the United States, as the only superpower, sees Azerbaijan as part of the so-called wider Central Asia, or we can call it Eurasia. So from that perspective, from the Western perspective and from the US perspective, I think it is important for Azerbaijan to develop closer ties with Central Asian nations, especially because of that energy route that's supposed to connect Europe and Central Asia through Azerbaijan and through the Caspian Sea. And not only the green energy corridor, but other corridors as well, including the so-called middle corridor, Trans-Caspian transportation route. The point here is, from the Western perspective, to diminish Russian influence in the region and to make sure that the European Union increases its presence in the region. But the problem for policymakers in the West is the fact that China also has significant economic presence in Central Asia. So I think the competition there will be pretty strong, and I don't think it will be very easy for the EU to establish easily its presence in Central Asian countries, although it's trying its best, but I don't think that will work that smoothly, because I spoke with some of their regional officials and they told me that they're unhappy about too complicated bureaucratic procedures that the EU leaders insist on. So that's why they always prefer to do business with China and even Russia. But I think in the coming years and decades, Russia will continue losing its influence in Central Asia, and that will allow other actors to get involved there. Also Turkey, although I still believe the Turkish influence in Central Asia is rather limited. It does have certain cultural influence and religious as well, but politically and economically, it's not as strong as Russia's or Chinese. And the Central Asia is definitely one of the most important regions for those who want to have, if you want to put it like that, control over Eurasian continent, or however those geopolitical experts call it. And I don't think it was a pure coincidence that the leaders of Central Asian nations decided to join the ECO, because it was initially funded by Turkey and Iran, but not by Central Asian nations. At the time, they were part of the Soviet Union, but after the collapse of the Soviet Union, they decided to join the organization, and now they're seeking to increase their presence in this organization, and that will allow them to strengthen their position in the global arena.
Yes, you're absolutely right, saying that there were 3 countries in the beginning forming the organization, including Pakistan, if I'm not mistaken. And 2 points I would like to add within the scope of cooperation between the Central Asian states and South Caucasus. We cannot ignore the fact of the existence of the Organization of Turkic States, which also bring the benefits for the fostering of the future processes. And the second issue, which was also mentioned during the 17th ECO summit in Khankendi, is the transport, communications and middle corridor, which will definitely connect China, Central Asia, the South Caucasus and Europe. And I think that Pakistan will also benefit from the developing of new transport links and energy communications in between the countries. Therefore, Mr. Shah, I would like to listen your opinion also. What do you think, how the increased collaboration between Uzbekistan and Azerbaijan actually how this shift affects the broader strategy in Central Asia and its relations with both countries for Pakistan?
You see, Pakistan has good relations with both of them, Uzbekistan and Azerbaijan also. The important thing is that whenever you have economic links with the country, that creates stakes in each other. And I can cite many examples where countries had political differences, but they had economic stakes which brought them together, and they found a middle ground to the resolution of political conflicts, or political differences. So Pakistan has that capability to bring both Uzbekistan and Azerbaijan to such a situation where we can all have economic stakes in each other, and those economic stakes will keep bringing us together. I give you one example that you were talking of corridors and roads and infrastructure that might link all these countries to each other, with Europe also, with South Caucasus also, and China also. If that road link is extended to Pakistan also, that's going to be very beneficial for both Pakistan and the Central Asian republics also, and South Caucasus also. I give you one small example. Your Central Asian states and the South Caucasus states, these are most tea-consuming countries, and Sri Lanka produces tea. What Sri Lanka does, that it airlifts tea to Russia, and from there it is transported to most of the countries. If that tea is shipped to Pakistan and by road transported to these countries, that's going to be very economical, very much bulk in size, and that's going to be a win-win situation for everybody. So we need to think of connectivity, economic connectivity in different spheres, in different paradigms and in different domains. And that's how we are going to link each other economically. That's going to create stakes in each other. And we will be, these ECO countries are going to form a very strong bloc in the region, which is going to attract other countries and other blocs here.
Well, so just two more questions I have, Mr. Mikovic. How do you think this organization may construct its work in the future? So the summit ends in Khankendi and the next summit will be held in Iran. But during this period of time, how do you think the countries should continue working and establish their cooperation to make sure that they achieve the desired results?
First of all, it remains to be seen if another summit will take place in Iran, because if another round of confrontation between Israel and Iran takes place in the coming months or so, then I don't think the summit will take place there, but it remains to be seen. It's entirely possible that other countries will seek to join the organization. And as I mentioned, Turkey will continue pushing for the de facto recognition of Northern Cyprus. So it will maybe eventually become a member if other nations agree to recognize it, although it will be a pretty difficult process for Ankara. But still, the organization has the capacity to expand its economic influence globally, and also it's important is basically it's important for regional countries to develop bilateral organizations, and I believe that's the core point of this summit. It helped Afghanistan, for instance, to establish stronger ties with regional nations. And the Taliban, they're using summits like this to discuss regional connectivity with neighboring countries and with other countries as well, because Afghanistan desperately needs money and desperately needs construction of railways. And that's why the Taliban came to Azerbaijan to try to find investors who are willing to build the infrastructure, because that's one of their priorities at this point. And then we have a country like Turkmenistan that's pushing for the construction of the gas pipeline connecting Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. So the Turkmen section has been completed, but they're waiting for other nations to build their own sections, and that can take years to get built. And that's why Turkmen officials came to Azerbaijan, hoping to, in my view, they just tried to push other nations to speed up the process of the construction of the pipeline, because they are now heavily dependent on the energy export to China. They want to diversify their energy exports. And other countries are also looking for the opportunities to resolve some of their issues and to achieve some of their goals. If I may just briefly mention the meeting that took place between Iranian and Pakistani leaders. From the Iranian perspective, I think that's very important, because Pakistan can serve as Tehran's natural ally. But I believe last year Iran bombed Pakistan, which was a very big mistake from my perspective, because now I don't think Iran can count on Islamabad's open support in the event of another confrontation with Israel. So now I think the two countries will try to resolve some of their issues, and Tehran will definitely prepare for inevitable war that will come sooner or later.
If I'm not mistaken, Pakistan was among the first countries who also explained its position during the war between Iran and Israel, explaining that it will definitely support the peaceful resolution of the situation and it will not allow any kind of escalation to happen in between. Mr. Shah, please correct me if I do any kind of mistake saying that. And also please tell us your vision of the future of the ECO. As a former military strategist, how do you think the economic cooperation between the countries can be used for the achievement of geopolitical integration in some processes which take place in the region and far beyond?
And what was your first question? We
just referred to the position of Pakistan during the recent war escalation between Iran and Israel.
Yeah. Pakistan actually condemned Israeli aggression over Iran, and we diplomatically and politically supported Iran at every stage of the war, and we welcomed the ceasefire between both countries also. And we hailed Iranians as a very resolute nation who came out of this conflict despite the damages that they have suffered. But still, we consider that they have came out as a successful contender in this conflict. So as far as integration into global economic system is considered that you are saying, obviously this I mentioned as before that we need to first create stakes, economic stakes in each other. The ECO countries have to come closer, and we need to find ways and means to develop economic connectivity with each other. First of all, I think that is the foremost requirement that we have come to know, especially after what happened in May and June in this region. We need to be together, we need to create stakes in each other, and then because of the potential, immense potential that this region has, there is no limit that this region can reach to. And when we work together with each other, we are bound to rise to a level where other countries will be compelled to join us to take benefit of our rise, economic rise, and to extend or offer their dividends to us also. But this all can happen if we first have the economic integration between ourselves, the ECO countries. And I think that's why this 17th summit is very important, because a new dawn has occurred to this region after these conflicts and all these happenings that have been there since 2020. So I think this is a very opportune time for all of us to take stock of the situation and do whatever is needful for the benefit of our people.
Well, dear expert, thank you so much for joining Inside Politics today. That's all for this edition of Inside Politics. The 17th Economic Cooperation Organization Summit in Khankendi was more than a regional gathering. It reflected deeper shifts in how influence, connectivity, and cooperation are being redefined across Eurasia. As the South Caucasus moves from the periphery toward the center of strategic attention, the region's choices will have ripple effects far beyond its borders. Thank you for watching Anewz. I'm Anastasiya Lavrina, and see you next time.